Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Wednesday night Serie A action. Milan go into the top four with the win over Genoa. How did they do it? Where did Genoa go wrong? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Milan beat Genoa. So before we get into today's video, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, we're going to break down the first half and see what Milan did right, why they made a system change, and what issues they encountered going into the lead at halftime. And then we're going to get to the second half and see how Genoa were able to equalize and how Milan looked to combat that and get the late winner. But first, let's get to the starting lineup. So we have Genoa in more of a 3-5-2. Piatek up front alongside Kouame. Out in the wider areas, Lazovic and Zukanovic. And then in midfield, they went with Mazzatelli, Romagnoli, and Bessa. Milan, 3-4-3, 3-5-2. It was a bit of a puzzle, a bit of a mystery as to see how they were going to line up. They went with Higuain and Kouame up front. Suso was kind of out in a wider position. They had Lagzalt pushing forward as left wing back. In midfield, they went with Çalhanoğlu and they went with Bakayoko. And as the right wing back, Kessie kind of shifted out there but played in a narrow role. It was an interesting shape for Milan, but it looked like they were going to combat Genoa in their 3-5-2. So we're going to get to the first half and see what Milan did right and how they were able to go into the first half up 1-0. So Genoa, Milan missing a few players here. No Calabria, obviously in midfield, no Biglia. They moved to a three-man back line. Rodriguez tucking in a bit narrow. They have Kessie as a right wing back, but more so in a midfield role, and we're kind of questioning what he would offer there. He didn't really push forward, but him and Suso did combine for some of Milan's best chances in the first half, and Suso was able to get the opening goal. Their kind of movement was pretty simple. Kessie never really got forward. He played a bit deeper. Lagzalt was higher on the left-hand side, and he was pushing back Lazovic. And what happened here was that if you had Suso drop in a bit narrow, Mazzatelli would pick him up at times, or what happened, he was stuck in there, and that would push Kessie back in. If not, he would hold the width, and Kessie would kind of move more into a narrow role, but he never really helped the midfield take control of the game. The other aspect here was that you had the midfield in general, Bakayoko and Çalhanoğlu, and you had kind of feel if Genoa was a bit more adventurous, they could get at this midfield. Bakayoko, not your natural holding midfielder. Çalhanoğlu, more of a creative fulcrum. Though he's sitting in front of the back three protecting them, a bit of a risk for Milan. But the big problem here was that you have Kouame, you have Higuain. With this system and with this Milan side, the way to get the best out of Higuain is to get him to drop off deeper. Get him in those positions. He's an excellent all-rounder, one of the best in the world. He drops off, he links play, he picks up the ball, he pushes forward. Milan lack a creative player in the final third. They lack one in these areas that could play those final passes. Higuain could be that man that could really offer that link between midfield and attack because they didn't get it there. Lagzalt was kind of marked out of the game, and Kouame is just more of a natural poacher. He could get you a goal, but he demands the service. If he doesn't get the service, he's pretty much useless. Higuain here, he shows in the opening stages. Çalhanoğlu wins the ball, plays into Higuain, who's able to win the ball, switch it out to Suso. Suso now is able to drive into defense. He plays it out to Çalhanoğlu. Çalhanoğlu plays it back to Suso. And what happens is that Çalhanoğlu drags his marker out of position, which leaves it 1v1 with Suso, who cuts in and he fires a great shot on goal that Radu cannot save. And Milan are up 1-0 in the opening 3 minutes. You think about that, you expect them to push forward, but the back three had a lot of the ball. They were trying to find avenues in midfield, but they were unable to do that, and that was a big issue that Milan had. And again, it's just down to finding Higuain. If you could get him into those positions here in this Milan setup, he's much better, or he's more useful to this side if he could drop off, pick up the ball, and push forward, because having him sit up front with Kouame doesn't offer much because then they're starved for service. And that was the big issue there. We think about some of the other chances that Milan had in that first half was the fact that with them dropping into more of a 3-5, Genoa dropping more into a 3-5-2, what happens now is that you have the wider players, the shuttlers pushing out to the wider players and stepping out here. So we had Kessie and Suso kind of doing a great job of pulling out Bessa and then trying to get the better out of their left wing back and Crescito, who was playing out in the left center back role. What happens here in the first play is that you have the left wing back pushing forward. He gives up the ball. Rodriguez intercepts it. He plays a pass forward. And what happens there was that Suso was coming across, plays a pass forward to Rodriguez. Rodriguez instantly plays the diagonal into Suso. Now he's running at Crescito, and you have Kessie making the underlapping run. He plays the ball into Kessie, but Mazzatelli tracks it well, and Kessie fires a shot into the side netting. Then we get to another opportunity where they try to close down that right-hand side as well. The ball is played to Kessie, who's instantly closed. It's played out to Suso, who's instantly closed by Crescito, but Kessie continues his run. The ball is squared to him, and then he plays it to Higuain, who instantly fires a shot over the net. In the opening 20 to 22 minutes, Milan were in control in the sense that they created the better chances. They were up 1-0. It kind of looked like they had a partnership down the right-hand side with Suso and Kessie, but again, it just wasn't enough. They weren't creating enough chances, and towards the latter part of that first half, Genoa had the better chance. So let's get to Genoa and see what they did right without the ball and how they forced Milan into some issues. Genoa, on the other hand, when you look at them, they're trying to find ways to stop Milan from playing, trying to hit them on the counterattack, trying to find servers for Piatek. That didn't really work out in their favor, and that was one of the big issues that they had. How do they get the ball? Kouame did a very good job. He was more of the counterattacking player, able to hold the ball up with his back to goal, able to strive forward, offer that pace that did cause the Milan defense a few issues, but for the most part, it was pretty simple. Milan have two strikers. They have 3v2 at the back. They have the wing backs playing out to the wider players. Laxalt stayed with Lazovic. Zukanovic was there with the wider player in Suso when Suso tucked in. Like I said, Mazzatelli was there. But in midfield, what would happen was that now they have the three-man defense. What happens is that obviously Milan have 3v2. So Kouame and you have Piatek stepping out to press them. Bessa is sort of the free man in midfield. And what he could do is he would step out and press Musacchio. So if he steps out and press Musacchio, what you have here now is Mazzatelli could push forward and offer that threat. Mazzatelli ends up blocking off the passes there and in midfield, and they're able to really push forward from that perspective. The other factor here was that when you look at it, the wider players in Romelu and Mazzatelli are supposed to step out to the wing backs. Or Bessa and Romelu are supposed to step out to the wing backs. Bessa did a good job there, stepping out when needed to. Romelu was often on Çalhanoğlu to ensure that he wasn't able to really get involved in the game. Mazzatelli was the free man, like I said. So if they have that 3v2 and you have Bessa stepping in, if the ball ends up being played out to Kessie, you could have Mazzatelli stepping in there while Bessa retreats. So that was kind of how they were going about their business. When Milan looked to play out of the back from goal kicks, what would happen here is they'd have the center back spread out. They'd have Rodriguez push forward, and with Rodriguez pushing forward, that would often leave him free. If they try to clip the ball out to Rodriguez, Kouame would instantly speed back because he had the pace to press him there. If that didn't happen, what we would often see is Bakayoko stepping in and dropping in to split the defense. Bessa would step to him and it would force Donnarumma to either punt it out to Kessie or punt it out to Rodriguez. If he punts it out to Kessie, like I said, Mazzatelli could drop into that space or Bessa could retreat, but that wasn't an issue for them. And like I said, Donnarumma was one of the issues that they had. His inability to play out the back, like we saw Milan do throughout the start of the season, did cause them into some issues. The first time he got the ball back, he was pressed. When he's pressed, he ends up having to kick the ball out. Seconds later, he gets the ball back and he ends up giving it back to Genoa because he punts it into the midfield and no one's there. We had one more instance where he tried to play it into Rodriguez, who played out wide. Kouame stepped in. He drives forward down the right channel, but his cross evades everyone. You add the left wing back into Zukanovic, deliver a cross into the box later on in the game. It goes in between Lagzalt and Rodriguez. He's able to bring it down and play it into the path between both defenders for Piatek, but he fires his shot off Romagnoli and it doesn't even go out for a corner. The referee doesn't see it. It goes out for a goal kick. But when you think about all those aspects there, the fact that they're forcing Milan to play out the back, the fact that they're pressing, that was really big for Genoa. They just couldn't really create the chances. Now, when you look at it in a nutshell, they're trying to press, they have the disadvantage, but they're finding ways to stop Milan from really creating chances. When you see that, and you see Milan trying to play out the back, why not punt it into Higuain? Why not have him play with his back to goal? Why not have Kouame play with his back to goal? They did it throughout the game in spurts, and Higuain did a good job linking play. Kouame ended up winning some free kicks. They didn't do it there. Towards the end of the first half, they encountered some issues. So let's get to the second half, see how they equalize, and see how Milan looked to chase the game after that. So there were no real changes going into the second half, but what we did see was the same from Milan. Suso was at the heart of things, cutting in from the right-hand side, finding Higuain in behind Mazzatelli, and what he ends up doing there is he ends up running in between Zukanovic and Bessa, and he drives into space between them, and what that does is allow Higuain to get a shot off, and it deflects off a marker, and it forces Radu into a save pushed over the net. Another opportunity that we saw from him was the fact that he cuts in, he locates Lagzalt, making a very intelligent run to the far post, but what happens is that he's not able to direct his effort on goal. What we saw from Genoa in the opening minutes was Bessa was playing much more of an advanced role, kind of looking to get the ball in these spaces, never really offered much of a threat in that zone, but he did play much higher. Their goal, a bit fortuitous, it's Romelu delivering a cross into the box. We see Kouame holding off Rodriguez, and what he tries to do is he tries to play the ball up to Piatek, but Bakayoko does a good job of intercepting it. However, Piatek instantly presses him. Once he presses him, but he gets a nip of the ball, and then Bakayoko pokes it off Rodriguez and into the path of Kouame, and Kouame ends up firing the shot off Romagnoli sliding in, and it gets the equalizer. Genoa level the game, and it forces Gattuso into some substitutions. What happened now is that he moved to a 4-4-2. He ended up bringing on Abate, and you think that when you're chasing a game, what does Abate offer? But the 4-4-2 did see Çalhanoğlu move out wide to the left, and he was more narrow. Suso a bit wider, looking to cut in. Then you have Kessie and Bakayoko in midfield. When you think about some of the chances they did get, we saw a bit more of Higuain now dropping off a bit deeper. We saw a pass into Romelu that Bakayoko intercepted. He played it into Higuain. Higuain's able to run past Mazzatelli, and he runs past Romelu, and he's able to fire a shot on goal that Radu saves. Radu was the key man in the second half for Genoa, keeping them in. You think about another opportunity where, again, he drops off a bit deeper. Kessie plays the pass into him. He's able to hold it off, play it wide to Çalhanoğlu. Çalhanoğlu ends up firing a shot off Miguel Veloso, who did come on for Romelu. And what happened there is after he fires a shot off him, it falls to Rodriguez, who tries to play the pullback into Higuain, gets the touch well, unable to get a shot off, but it falls to Kessie, and again, he forces Radu into a save. Then we see some good stuff from Suso, who again was lively down the right-hand side, running at Zukanovic and Bessa. You see Kessie making the overlapping run into the right channel, and what happens there is he's able to cut in, square it to Çalhanoğlu, who volleys his effort inches wide. He runs at them again down the right hand side. This time he forces Radu into a save and he pushes it away. After that, we see Omianga come on. Then we see a break from Kouame, because what happens here is throughout the game, we saw them dropping off into a deeper 5-3-2, and what happened there was that they kept the two strikers on deepest lying midfielders. They wanted to ensure they couldn't really play out the back. They had the wide player wing backs staying out to the wider players of Milan. And what we ended up seeing here was a classic counter from Kouame. He's able to break forward. He's been doing this throughout the entire half when he wasn't pressing the Milan defense. Slides it out to Bessa. He ends up playing it to Omianga. What happens there is that when he plays it out to him, he gets the ball out to Lazovic. And for the first time in the game, Lazovic is able to break forward past Rodriguez, and he forces Donnarumma into a good save. That was vital. That should have been the win for Genoa. The winner ends up coming from a hopeful Abate punt into the box. Radu punches it oddly into the path of Romagnoli. He guides his effort in, but we have to look back to Radu about 13 minutes prior, punching that ball into the path of Kessie, and he volleyed his effort wide. Radu, great in the second half, but again, those mistakes haunt goalkeepers, just like Donnarumma's almost haunted Milan in the first half. And we look at the grand scheme of things, Milan looking good in the opening 20 minutes, but again, not good enough from them. In the short term, the results matter, but in the long term, they didn't play well. They didn't get the best out of Higuain. Suso was lively, but again, that one goal doesn't overshadow the fact that he created a lot of chances but didn't get enough done. They still lack some issues in midfield, and the defense is prone to making some errors. And then we look at Genoa. Probably should have done better here, had the opportunity to win the game. Radu kept them out, but again, goalkeeping errors decisive. But when we break the game down as a whole, big for Milan, move back in the top four, and Gattuso, although he knows that he needs to play Higuain with the striker, needs more from Cotrone, and he needs to get the job done and needs to get the better out of more of his players and find some creativity. But let me know what you guys think. Can Milan end up finding and mounting a title challenge, or not a title challenge, but a top four challenge with two strikers? What about Genoa? Will they be fighting for relegation? Will they finish in the mid-table? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.